Hello, and welcome. I'm going to pull up an image and we are going to get started shortly with another CCS Alumni Live. I'm so excited for today's Alumni Live. We have an awesome guest that we'll be speaking with, Cherese Thornhill. So the way this works is I'm going to introduce our guest first, and then we are going to jump into our conversation. So I see our guest is here. So I'm going to read her bio and then we will get started. So Cherese Thornhill earned her BFA in Industrial Design, which we now call Product Design at CCS, before hitting the ground running in the footwear design industry. She's a former Nike Footwear Designer with 13 years of professional design experience. Cherese Thornhill is now the owner and operator of her own design consultancy, No Shoes Creative LLC. She later went on to earn her master's in Instructional Design and Technology from Full Sail University. And now she combines her creative genius, that 13 years of footwear design prowess, and her passion for inspiring others as a design professor. So she's cultivating the next generation of design talent in this world. And I'm so excited to chat with her today. So I'm going to add her to the live so we can get started with today's CCS. So I'm adding shirt. There
There we
you
go.
are. Oh my
Hey
gosh.
there.
Hello. I haven't seen your face in a while. How are you?
I know my face hasn't changed too much.
Not at all. I think there's something magical. I'm starting to learn through these alumni lives that CCS does something upon graduation and your face just gets frozen in time because
Exactly.
everybody is ageless and your eyebrows are on fleek.
Hey,
Hello.
I try.
I love it. It's so wonderful to see you, Cherese. Thanks for agreeing to have this
Of
conversation with me today.
course. Of course. Good to see you too.
Yeah. So how about we start off? Let's start off with how this works. So I'm going to ask you a few
Okay.
questions, just some general questions about your journey from high school to career. But also, this is an opportunity for any of the students or guests joining in live here to ask their own questions and also get those answered. So if you're tuning in and you have questions for Cherese about careers in industrial design, product design, footwear design, being a CCS student, being a CCS graduate, etc. Make sure you add those in the question box below because we will ask those live on our IG conversation today.
Perfect.
So let's get started. So bring us up to speed. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with No Shoes Creative.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, I've been in the industry for a while. I
Mm-hmm.
resigned from Nike in the summer of 2006 after
Mm-hmm.
being there for just short of 10 years. And I moved back home to Miami. I really wanted to teach, mentor, use my voice and my platform a lot more than I was able to. And so I
Mm-hmm.
went back and I taught at my old high school for a bit. I taught at the Institute of Fort Lauderdale. I taught product design there for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then also wanted to branch out. So I started my own design consultancy where I was able to work for smaller brands. And I also
Mm-hmm.
worked with Champion for a little bit
Oh, cool.
through my consultancy as they were kind of rebuilding or relaunching their brand.
Mm-hmm.
But this is something that I don't think I shared with you. So actually, I'm in Brooklyn right now. So I actually moved from Miami up to Brooklyn to work with Adidas on a new program called Seed School.
I
So
saw that. Yeah.
yeah, so S.E.E.D is School for Experiential Education and Design, which is a
Mm-hmm.
really amazing opportunity. You know, I'm working with a few designers that I'd worked with at Nike in the past, and then amazing partners that are in the recruiting space.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea and premise of the program is really to create access to people who look like us, who
Yep.
aren't able to get into either a great art school like CCS, and then
Mm-hmm.
aren't able to actually enter the footwear design industry. So we have 6 women of color we're working with right now between the ages
Mm-hmm.
of 20 and 24.
Wow.
And we're taking them through this 2-year program, at the end of it, which will lead to a full-time role within the brand. So it's a really great opportunity. I dropped
That's
everything at a one with
amazing.
a 1 month notice and moved up to Brooklyn in January. So this is my 8th month in Brooklyn leading the program from a design standpoint.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about, so you're working with these 6 women. How did you all find which women to work with for this project?
We really kind of went through our own networks. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't do a lot of recruiting. We didn't do a lot of marketing for the
Mm-hmm.
program, just because we wanted to hold true to the whole premise. And it was
Mm-hmm.
about just creating new opportunities for people who, weren't able to access it. So
Mm-hmm.
we pretty much talked about, or actually had flyers that we released on our IG stories. And that's how, the designers that we have were able to connect and apply, and then be, admitted into the program. One of them in particular is actually one of my students from my old high school that I taught at back in Miami. So, I mean, it's just great to be able to, come in contact with someone who has a lot of
Mm-hmm.
potential, and then be able to help kind of steer them onto a path, to their dreams. So it's been a really great experience thus far.
That's powerful. And I think it's powerful to hear that this initiative started like in January earlier this year, prior to a lot of the things that has happened this spring,
Hmm.
with George Floyd, and companies now starting to ask, like, how can we have more representation? How can we have, things be more accessible to people of color?
Hmm.
And it's powerful for you to, like, this is just a part of who you are. This is the work that you're doing. Is
Right.
you and Adidas and the people you're working with are like
Hmm.
bringing accessibility for this industry to people, without it being like, now everybody's
Hmm.
trying to figure it out. You're like, this is
Hmm.
authentically what we feel is important.
Right.
That's super
Yeah. Brands
powerful.
never do this. So, and for me, and moving into just a different phase of my career, I really want to have more purpose in the work that I did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I always
Mm-hmm.
was about footwear. I love sneakers.
Yep.
It was my life, especially when I was at CCS. But I think moving into the next phase of my career, I was definitely looking for purpose in the
Mm-hmm.
work that I do. And so it
Yeah.
was great to be able to find a brand that I can do that with. So.
Yeah, that's huge. So I'm going to ask you a question that's not on my list of questions, but it's a topic that I'm really passionate about. I talk a lot with students about. It's like ikigai, is this concept of like, what do you love doing? What are you good at? What do you feel the world needs? And what can you
Hmm.
get paid to do? Like, if you can find something that's at the intersection of those four
Hmm.
things, then you're living your purpose, right? You're doing something purposeful. So it's clear that you were like amazingly good at design, hands down, right? Um, and I know you love, footwear design, sneaker design. Like, I was reading your bio. I was like,
Hmm.
she's been wanting to do this her whole life,
Yeah, for sure. For
Um,
sure.
what do you, if you could say in your own words, what you feel the world needs as it pertains to, the work that you're doing or what you're setting out to do with Seed School and beyond? What would you say is what you feel the world needs?
Um, a fair shot for everyone. I think that
Mm-hmm.
everyone, I don't know, we're made in the image of the creator, and we all have something to give, and we have unique
Mm-hmm.
talents and purposes. And I don't think that we all get an opportunity to actually realize that, and really like
Mm-hmm.
discover what's been like deep, really kind of buried deep inside of us, and how to bring that to the surface. And so
Yeah.
I'm passionate about helping people to just discover what gifts and talents they have, and how they can use that, in the world to better either, systems that exist that need to be torn
Mm-hmm.
down and rebuilt, or,
Mm-hmm.
just realizing your own gifts and talents, or helping other people realize their own gifts and talents.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not for everyone, I think, in design, to have their own sneaker line. And that's the question that I hear from people the most. They're like, well, what do you want to do next? Do you want your own sneaker brand? And I don't think so. I just don't have the
Mm-hmm.
desire to create more product. Like, we really do we even need more shoes in the world? I don't think
Mm-hmm.
so. Or more brands. So that's just not a way in
Mm-hmm.
which I want to spend my time, but I want to help other
Mm-hmm.
people realize, their creative,
Yep.
goals. So,
Yeah. I'm very in
yeah,
alignment with you there, man.
yeah, for
Yeah, it's
sure.
nothing like it. I think that's a form of creativity that is not always looked at, but it's, to me, one of the most powerful forms of creativity is like the creativity it takes to inspire and nurture creativity in others
Right.
is like levels on levels, right?
Exactly. I'm working through that
Yeah.
every day. Every day is a challenge to kind of work through. And because I know that everyone responds to things differently. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
has a different learning style.
Mm-hmm.
And we're constantly tweaking every day. We're learning
Mm-hmm.
new things about each other. I'm learning new things about myself. I'm learning new things
Mm-hmm.
about my team, and each as an individual. And we're constantly like fine tuning, trying to figure out, okay, well, what is your method of making? How do you create?
Mm-hmm.
Some people like to sketch. Some people, that just isn't their skill set. They like to make
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to like bend and be fluid and help other people define or like figure out, you know, how they're going to communicate their ideas, and be flexible, all with the same goal in mind. So it's challenging, but it's a good challenge to have.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like one.
Hmm.
Speaking of challenging, what would you say has been the most challenging thing in your design career to date?
Owning my own point of view. I think,
Mm-hmm.
especially being a woman in the footwear design industry, and there's not a lot of us, and then being a woman of color in the footwear design industry, which there's even less of us,
Mm-hmm.
um, being comfortable with my own point of view, because I always have one. Rarely do I not have an opinion about something. I always do. But I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes it's difficult for us to stand on our own opinion, especially if we're standing alone.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn that like really early on in my career, that I'm
Mm-hmm.
being paid, and my mentor would tell me that all the time. I'm being paid for my point of view, therefore it's valid if I'm being paid
Yeah.
for it. And even if I'm standing alone, I have to own my own point of view and share it. And I think the
Mm-hmm.
more that I started to do that, the less I second guessed myself. And even if, you know, I sit on an island by myself, I was willing to do that because I know that I honored myself by sharing my point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped me. Every time I feel like I spoke out, it helped me, and it was easier to do it the next time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a lesson that we can always take with us, that no matter what level we ascend to, um, even at a higher level, it's even more important to share your own point of view. And
Mm-hmm.
if it's informed by something, it's not your own personal opinion, but it's informed by data or, you know, insights or other people that you've talked to,
Mm-hmm.
it gives it even more validity, you know. So that's really
I'm,
important.
I'm put
Yeah.
that advice in my back
Yeah.
pocket. Like they pay you for your expertise,
Yeah,
your knowledge, your
exactly.
so why
Exactly.
not?
And
Yeah.
even more so now today, as people of color, like, we're everyone's consumer, right? So we should be paid and, you know, acknowledged for our unique point of view, which really
Mm-hmm.
makes us special, and is our point of
Mm-hmm.
difference. And we should feel, you know, happy and open to be able to celebrate that difference, because it's really valuable.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
Hmm.
It's powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, no
Um,
worries.
One thing I'm letting the audience know is like I get as much as the students and the people tuning in get from these interviews. Cause I'm like, yes, just share this wisdom. Um, so that's awesome. Thanks for that insight. So I have a question for you. We talked about that challenge, like what was a challenging thing about your career. Tell me about a highlight, like something that you're most proud of, or something that you felt is like this was the point in my career where I felt like this is what I'm here to do. I'm grateful that I got to do this.
Um, it changes. It
Mm-hmm.
changes as society changes, the world
Mm-hmm.
changes. I would say one of the things I'm most proud of is being a part of S.E.E.D and being
Mm-hmm.
able to do the work that we're doing today. But even
Mm-hmm.
now, looking back in my career, and when I was in Nike basketball, I had the opportunity to work on a lot of Kobe Bryant's China footwear.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the opportunity to work with him one on one and like share my concepts and like get his feedback and interface with him. And so now, like, that's even more special to me now that I was blessed enough to have that opportunity, than it's
Mm-hmm.
ever been. So I think as things change, as the world changes, and we look back over the course of our careers, we really have to be grateful and thankful for the experiences that we've had and the people we've gotten to know,
Mm-hmm.
because they won't always be here, you
Yeah.
know? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So those two moments, there's so many.
Yeah.
But those are the two that kind of really stick out to me at this point.
That's powerful.
Hmm.
That's powerful. Rest in peace. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
also seize the day, you know, like, don't put things off. You know, you want to travel
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. I mean, granted, it's hard now, but you know,
Yeah.
don't put things off, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow's not promised.
Not at
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just, I get so filled up from these. So let's do a little bit of rewinding. We talked a little bit about, your career at Nike, you starting your consultancy, now doing this amazing work with S.E.E.D and educating, future designers. Let's do a little bit of rewinding to who you were in high school.
Hmm.
And I know you mentioned going back to your high school to teach, but Not everyone has probably read the bio that is on your website, but I know I was very intrigued just seeing that you had this very clear statement at
Mm-hmm.
14 years old. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to design for these companies,
Mm-hmm.
and inspire the world this way. How did you come to learn about industrial design so early on? Like, you at 14 knew, like, I want to get into this industry. What exposed you to the industry? Uh-oh.
Sorry about
Yep, there
that.
we go.
Yeah, had a call coming in. I think it's just, I don't know. And I always talk to parents because I think it's so important to pay attention to what your kids are
Mm-hmm.
inspired by and what they love to
Mm-hmm.
do and what they do effortlessly. Because,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, it was basketball, art, sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
And I just followed the path. Like, I love doing those things so much. I had a basketball hoop in the backyard. I was out shooting by myself every day. And then also I love drawing, like coloring books, like making stuff, trying to sell
Mm-hmm.
things to my family that I made. So it's just like those were the things that I always loved to do, and I would do them for free.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I was in junior high, or actually when I was in elementary school and I saw the Jordan 10s for the first time, that's when I was awakened to the fact that, oh my gosh, sneakers are bomb. Like, I was really inspired by the 10s. I was in the fifth grade. Then I
Mm-hmm.
finally got my first pair of Nikes, which were the Indestructs, like Dennis Rodman's first shoe. Then I got my second pair of Nikes were the up tempos. They had the big air on the side. And I was
Mm-hmm.
just inspired, and I loved them from that point. And I used to get the East Bay magazines, and I'll be drawing like all the shoes in the East Bay magazines in junior high. And I ended up getting into the magnet program in junior high, which is a
Mm-hmm.
program that really kind of, if you're in the magnet program, you have a clear shot to the college that you want. So in South
Wow.
Florida, there are these magnet programs. They're for the arts, so visual arts like dance, music, and there are
Mm-hmm.
this program kind of feeds into these high schools where you get the best education for free, public schools. And then the
Mm-hmm.
best colleges in the country recruit from these high schools. So I ended up
Mm-hmm.
getting into the magnet program in my eighth grade year. And then that opened up a whole new world of other schools I had no idea about. And that's how I
Mm-hmm.
ended up transitioning into Dash Design Architecture Senior High. And I learned about product design there. But I think
God.
it's just because like I had those things that I loved, and my
Mm-hmm.
parents and my family was just so great about helping me cultivate those things that I loved,
Mm-hmm.
and really like challenge. They never stood in front of me. They helped me look for avenues where I can actually use my skills. So I think it's just like parents, and I kind of always put that out there, is that you have the power to either make or break your kids' future.
Yeah.
So, like pay attention to what they love to do and help cultivate that, and look
Mm-hmm.
for channels for them to kind of excel in those areas, because you never know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
So,
That's powerful. And
yeah,
thank goodness for your parents being supportive and helping you, right? Because look where it's
absolutely.
led, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing I enjoy most. And I love talking to my students, but I
Hmm.
think it's just so entertaining to talk to parents. We're like, well, what do you do with a degree in art? And I'm like,
Exactly.
let me show
There's,
you, because
yeah, there's so
it's
many avenues.
limitless.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's amazing that you were able to. You had a family that was supportive of you, helped you to find this channel through which you could learn about this career path. Um, and so I know the kids at Dash, they're like up there when it comes to those
Yeah.
design skills. It's just like, y'all need to go to
It's a
college.
great
Like,
school. Yeah, it's a great
it's an
school.
amazing school.
Hmm.
Um, so having that level of skill in high school, I'm sure you have a lot of opportunities, a lot of different schools that you can look into. When it came time to apply to college, did you apply to other art schools?
I did. I was looking at CIA, so Cleveland Institute of
Mm-hmm.
Art, and I just really looked at CIA just to have another option. But CCS was just always where I was going to go. Um, and I'll say a lot of it is because of Sabrina. And
Because
if you're from
Elsa
Miami,
stars.
you went to CCS, Sabrina Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
My amazing admissions counselor. I used to eat
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving dinner at her house
Mm-hmm.
often. And she took us all in. Like, she was our surrogate mom for all the Miami
Mm-hmm.
kids, that were in Detroit and never seen snow before. She really took care of us. And she
Mm-hmm.
recruited at our school every year. So I was able to like really like build a great rapport with her. My mom felt so comfortable with her. And so she really helped, create a pathway for us from Miami to
Mm-hmm.
CCS. Like I went off to CCS with 8 of my friends from high school.
Wow.
And we had already had a bunch of upperclassmen from Miami who were already there. So we
Mm-hmm.
had like a pipeline of talent every year going to CCS and a collective that we could really lean on. And we all became better because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a
Um,
question I was going to ask you too.
yeah.
Coming from a school that, a high school that works so hard to prepare students for this path, what do you feel like CCS offered, yeah, what do you feel like CCS offered to help augment that, right? Because if you've already come in strong, how does CCS
hmm
help you become stronger?
Yeah, I think it was, I mean, CCS is a great school. Everyone knows about it. And
Mm-hmm.
especially during that time, I started at CCS when it was 2003. So it was definitely a different time. But we
Mm-hmm.
had already had so many upperclassmen come out of Dash, and they were already at the
Mm-hmm.
school doing amazing things. So Dwayne Lawrence went off to work at Nike and worked at Converse. He designed Dwayne
Mm-hmm.
Wade's first signature shoes. And Dwayne actually would come back to Miami and actually brought some of the shoes that he was working on.
Oh, wow.
You know, so there was always I don't know if that's just like um, coming from a background, or at least for people of color, where it's like each one teach one. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like what there we really have that. It's just in us to like want to give and uplift each other. And so Dwayne
Mm-hmm.
would come back. He had interned at Nike already when I was in high school, so he came back and like brought all his sketches, all the things that he was working on during his
Mm-hmm.
internship at Nike, and it created a lane for me. I was like, okay, Dwayne did it. I can do it too. He's
Mm-hmm.
at CCS. I'm going to CCS. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
and then when I was at Nike, there were 5 other designers from my high school and from CCS
Mm-hmm.
working at Nike. So we had already, like I said, we had a pipeline,
Yeah.
um, and we left the door open for each other. You know, but I think CCS was just a great place to do it because they let us do those things. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
back then it was tough. I don't think footwear was seen as true product. It was probably seen as more fashion. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I was still able to accomplish a lot of things I wanted to accomplish. And Steve Schock, who I think still is a
He's still
teacher
there. Still
at
awesome. Yes.
CCS, if I talk to all the other product designers from CCS, they always talk about Steve Schock because he
Mm-hmm.
really, again, was a truly supportive educator.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really created space for us to do the things we want to do. He never stood in our way. He created
Mm-hmm.
space for us and came alongside us and just really helped us like achieve our dreams. So he's just one of the great instructors. But I think again, like as an institution, they were just great pieces. Like Sabrina
Mm-hmm.
and Steve Schock really like helped me make it through the program successfully and then on to where I wanted to be. So.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Mhm.
Steve is there. Still doing amazing things. They just started doing a interview series at CCS called Creative Boost, and they recently interviewed Jason Maiden and Steve Shop
Right.
Hall, and Jason was just like, Steve, man,
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, Jay's one of my great mentors too. He's
yeah.
awesome. He's amazing.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
So tell me this. You talk about this pipeline, and I know a big thing that CCS talks a lot about is this career preparation. So you had an internship at Nike even
hmm
before graduating.
Yeah.
Tell me what it was like to have that experience.
Man, that was like the one of the best summers of my life. It was 2006. I was between
Mm-hmm.
my junior and senior year. I
Mm-hmm.
actually got a chance to intern with Nike SB, so with skateboarding, and that was a
Mm-hmm.
time where like everyone's sleeping outside for dunks. You know, it was the best time. And it was like Disneyland when I got there. I was totally in love. There were like a million buildings, all named after athletes. Everyone was super supportive. I saw that as my shot and my opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to really just, I'm like, it's really like go big or go home at this point. You know, it was a 10-week internship. I was like, okay, I'm leaving here with a job, or I'm coming back during spring break and I'm leaving with a job. And I really had to speak those things into existence. But again,
Mm-hmm.
I had great mentors. Dwayne
Mm-hmm.
Edwards, Jason was there, working for
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Brand, and really kind of helped me during that summer. Kimberly Shane, who's now my best friend, is like another designer who's working in Jordan Brand. She's also from Miami. So
Mm-hmm.
mentorship is huge. I'll always advocate for that, and I'll always tell people like you need a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you gotta do,
Mm-hmm.
hop on LinkedIn, send out, emails or messages to people, share your story. But mentorship is really like the key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Question for you based on that, because I know I have a lot of high school students who reach out
Mm-hmm.
asking like, should I have a mentor? How do I connect with a mentor? Is there any advice for younger students who are seeking mentorship? Like if they don't have a LinkedIn, maybe like what are some ways that should they get on LinkedIn? I don't know. What are
They
some
really
ways that
should
younger students?
with their parents. I think a few things, like be very clear about what you want,
Mm-hmm.
know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, going back to the whole artist statement thing, I think the
Mm-hmm.
process of writing an artist statement for yourself really kind of helps you clear your thoughts, really think about who you are, what you want, where you see
Mm-hmm.
yourself in the future. I think that's so important. And then being able to
Mm-hmm.
share that with other people, so that they know who you are, what makes you special, where you want to be, and they're able to actually like help you and create avenues for you. But I
Mm-hmm.
think now it's so much easier because there's social media, there's Instagram, there's LinkedIn. There's so many more ways to connect with people today,
Mm-hmm.
than it was for us back then. Like when you and I are at CCS, like there
I
was no
wasn't
YouTube.
nobody up on Black Planet or MySpace, ladies.
No,
It was,
there
that
was no
wasn't the move.
YouTube. There was really nothing. It was all word of mouth, all,
Mm-hmm.
reaching out, emailing, like, who do you know? Can you connect me with someone in this space? So there's
Mm-hmm.
so many more avenues today. There's like really no
Mm-hmm.
excuse in this day and age.
Y'all heard
So
it. No
yeah, no
excuses.
excuses.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned Instagram because it is. I feel like it lowers the barrier of
Hmm.
access to people of talent, of connections, of creative inspiration. Like you can reach out to these people that you're following for inspiration.
Right.
Um,
I've heard of
yeah,
people getting jobs just from Instagram. So anything's possible.
it's powerful.
Yeah.
No excuses.
No
All
excuses.
righty. So I have one more question from me, and then I'm going to check and see if our audience, if you haven't had a chance to drop your question, make sure you drop it in. See if our audience has any questions. So, what is one thing that you learned or gained from CCS that has transformed your life? What's one thing that you would say? Obviously, you talked a lot about the relationships and the mentorship from faculty, but what would you say is the one thing that you would say, if I didn't go CCS for nothing else, it was for this?
Yeah, I mean, this may be hard for me to say or hard for the institution to hear, but I faced a lot of barriers at CCS,
Mm-hmm.
quite frankly,
Mm-hmm.
especially during that time and the
Mm-hmm.
climate. And
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn early on that nothing was going to be given to me. I had to have a clear vision for what I wanted to do in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And if the school was not going to help me, I had to go out and get it myself and
Mm-hmm.
find, people who were willing to help. So, yeah, my experience at CCS built my fortitude. And
Mm-hmm.
I will always appreciate it. It was not a bed of roses. It was challenging. But I needed to learn that at
Mm-hmm.
22 because it helped set me up, and all the decisions I had to make for myself thereafter that were difficult, that I
Mm-hmm.
had to stand alone and by myself. I had to have that mental toughness and fortitude
Mm-hmm.
inside myself to say, okay, you're not going to support me. All right, I'm going to find someone who will. And even if I
Mm-hmm.
have to die on my sword, it is what it is.
That's real.
So yeah, it was challenging. I had a challenging time at CCS, but it helped me be way more stronger to make the decisions I need to make for myself thereafter. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. That's
yeah.
powerful. That's powerful.
Uh,
All right, so I'm going to look and see if we have questions coming in from our viewers. All right. One question for you, Cherese, is what is your all-time favorite shoe or sneaker?
Jordan 11 all time, which is like everyone's favorite.
You had
um,
that like,
yeah, that's everyone's favorite. But for me, the designs that I've done, I would say it's the Flight 45, Jordan Flight 45. I think it's
mm-hmm.
special because it's the one that sold the most pairs out of everything that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I also saw it in a bunch of music videos. Chris Brown was wearing it, like Diddy was wearing it, so those were fun. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but also how I came about getting the experience. I, again, was in a challenging situation at the brand.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't being supported, or I wasn't, given work to do, quite frankly. And I went over to my mentor, Dwayne, and I said, hey, I don't have any work to do. Can you help me? And he was like, yeah, I'll give you 10 projects to work on. I did my first 10 designs with his brand, with his company, and I wasn't even a part of it, you know? And
Wow.
so I learned, and that really helped me because I was able to build my portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
But again, another tough lesson to learn that no one's, even if you have a job and you're being paid, you have a desk and a computer, you got to go out and get everything, especially for people of color. Like
Mm-hmm.
nothing's promised. You have
Mm-hmm.
to go out and get everything that you need, and ask for help. And I think I learned early on that I had to ask for help, you know, and I
Yeah.
did, and it paid off. So, and that's
Yeah.
why that shoe is
Yeah.
special, you know, and all the other ones that I did with the Jordan brand are special to me because of the way that I got the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. You
hmm
went out and saw it.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you
All
know,
right, so I see
so.
another question has come in. How would you go about moving forward in your career if you don't have out of state experience or support? So I'm wondering if that student's asking if they don't have that network of people to reach back to, how would they go about moving forward in their career?
I would say, like, you know, try to build your network. You know, as I talked
Mm-hmm.
about LinkedIn before, you know, try to find people that are in the industry that you want to be a part of. It's also how you package yourself. So be very
Mm-hmm.
clear about who you are, what you're bringing to the table. You know, with our students, we did the Strengths Finders assessment with them the very first week. Strengths Finders
Gallup.
is great.
Mm-hmm.
Gallup is great.
Mm-hmm.
Identity, like really discover who you are, what makes you special, what you're bringing to the table, and like how do you brand yourself and package yourself to be able to gain advocates, gain mentors. But it comes from building yourself up so that you can reach out to other people. Because, you know,
Mm-hmm.
again, like everything I've been talking about on this call is like me going out, because we can't just wait and think that something's going to come to us or someone's going to come to us. Like we have to take the first step.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
And I just want to
that would be
add
my
that's even
answer.
for people who are super talented, right? Because it's
Yeah, for
like
sure. You
if
can't
y'all
sit
didn't see,
back.
right, you can be amazing, but you still have to
Exactly.
go out and seek the things you want. I just wanted to make that clarification because some people are
Yeah,
like,
for
well, I'm
sure.
good. I'm like, you may be,
Yeah, but if
but
no
that
one
doesn't
knows
mean
who
you're
you
exempt.
are.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So another question, how do you begin to gain experience for a career in footwear design?
It starts with your portfolio, but
Mm-hmm.
also like doing the hard work yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk to our students all the time about practicing and sketching and concepting and building stories, building product stories, giving yourself projects. You got to build up your portfolio. And I think now, like we mentioned Instagram earlier, there are so many designers on Instagram who have great pages, who have tons of concept sketches that they've added. I saw Chris Dixon was on this call. And go check out Chris Dixon's page. He has so many great footwear concepts and sketches, you know, and he's sharing his work. So it's all about kind of sharing and developing,
Mm-hmm.
asking for feedback on your concepts, trying to get better. I think it's also showing the fact that you're actually like committed to this, so that you
Mm-hmm.
can get help, and then keep
Mm-hmm.
showing like your growth over time. And then someone's going to pick you up. Like I said, I've known people who are in the footwear design industry now who got hired just because their Instagram pages.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's
that's definitely
that just
happening
speaks to how industries can shift with technology and with time. Like
for sure. Yep.
again, no excuses. All right, so I'm gonna see
None.
if there are any other questions from our audience. Okay. You guys a few more minutes to get some questions in. If you have questions, keep popping in, popping out. And for those who are popping in, but you have to run to work or class or whatever, this recording will be to IGTV, and it will also be on the CCS Admissions YouTube, so you can watch it from the beginning if you're just now joining us.
Cool.
Okay, a question that I have, this is a big question to me, because students have all different kinds of journeys, from
Hmm.
high school to career, right? Some people know what they want to do, right, at 14 and set
Right.
that intention and made it happen. And some people are a little lost, and there's everything in between. So a question I have for you, Cherese, is knowing what you know now about the industry, about your journey, about college, about all these things, what advice would you give your high school self, with all the wisdom that you have now today?
I think I would have told myself to diversify a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
was so stuck on footwear, which I think helped me to a certain extent. I got to a certain level, but there was a point where I had to diversify in order to go further. And, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I think designers now and designers moving into the future need to be more well rounded. Yes, it's
Mm-hmm.
good to be a master and have a focus, but
Mm-hmm.
you also need to be able to pull up from other places, so other points of
Mm-hmm.
inspiration. And I think understanding business, understanding anthropology, understanding psychology, you know, all the other disciplines, and really understanding people, especially if you're creating product for people,
Mm-hmm.
studying people, studying like how they think, how they make their purchases, what matters to them, how society is shifting and changing, and what that means for them and their purchasing power, or how they're gonna choose to spend their money. How can you start to design products that are better for them, that
Mm-hmm.
matter? Those are
Mm-hmm.
the things that I think are really important now. It's so much more than just like the sketching, like a dope sketch, like which doesn't even matter. Yeah, it's cool, but like you're not selling sketches at Foot Locker. It's actual shoes and products. And I think
Mm-hmm.
back then, like there were so many classes I could think about now that I wish I would have taken at CCS that were outside of my discipline that I feel like could have
Mm-hmm.
made me a better designer sooner. But everything happens for a reason. But I'll just say that now, like really identify what matters to you outside of your discipline. If you really are
Mm-hmm.
passionate about people, if you're passionate about the globe, if you're passionate about sustainability, think about how you can educate yourself in those spaces and then bring those things back into your work to give yourself a more unique point of view. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that was my struggle towards the end of my college career, at the end where I was trying to get jobs, you know, and differentiate myself from everyone else. If we had the same exact projects, you know, you have to figure out what's your point of difference. And I think it has to be something that happens at like a deeper level, at a belief level, to be able to
Mm-hmm.
be passionate about it, to be able to sell someone on you and what you're passionate about and why that makes you unique in your discipline.
That's
So
huge. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Because at the end of the day, that like skill you gain from school, you
yeah,
know, but no company can, no school one can teach you passion. No company can
right,
like give that to you, and
exactly.
that's what's gonna propel you. So yeah, 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 yeah. That's
For
powerful.
sure. And you get to
Yeah,
a certain level, quite frankly. I mean, anyone, if you're in the footwear industry, anyone can design the shoe. It's
people
really
can get the
not,
skill. Yeah.
yeah, it's really, you get to a certain level where it's not even about the work, it's not even about the
Mm-hmm.
skill, it's about the person and what
Yep.
uniqueness are they bringing. So when we give this
Mm-hmm.
person the brief to design a shoe, what's going to make it unique from the other person? Because both
Mm-hmm.
people can design the shoe, both people can hit the
Mm-hmm.
brief, but what makes one right for it versus the other?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it goes back to identity, which we talk to our students about all the time. Who are you? Who are you as a person?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you as a professional? Who are you as a creative? Who are you as a teammate? If I want you on my team, why? You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's not about the work. It's about all the other things that you would never hear about. It's about those things that, those intangibles that are part of the hiring process. That's a conversation
Mm-hmm.
that hiring managers are having, because
Yep.
they can look at the resume and say both of these people can do the job. How are we going to decide to choose one over the other? What else do they
Mm-hmm.
have? What makes them unique? And what
Mm-hmm.
are we missing on our team that we need to fill?
Yep.
So, yeah,
Y'all,
yeah,
this is some y'all take. I hope y'all taking notes. This is some life and career changing advice
yeah,
that Cherese is giving.
for sure.
Um, and you're a clear example of the results of doing that level of work, right?
Hmm.
That personal work and knowing who you are, what you want, going out and getting it, and using your creative skills to make that happen in the world. So I want to thank you for being that inspiration, for so many creatives, and continuing to foster people on that journey themselves. That's you're changing the world with your creativity and your wisdom. So
Thank you. I
I
appreciate
appreciate you.
that. Yeah, God is
Yeah.
good
Amen.
all the time.
For sure. Cherese, it's
Cool.
been so wonderful talking to you and learning about your journey, about
Thank
your
you.
passions and insight. Is there anywhere that the folks who are tuning in can go to look and learn more from you, get more inspired, potentially connect and ask questions? Anything on Instagram, online? Where can people find you if you want to find you?
Yeah, for sure. Instagram's great. LinkedIn's even better. I try to, if it's more like professional insights, like definitely LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Just let me know who you are, how I can help. Try to be as specific as possible,
Mm-hmm.
so that I can make sure that I can help, in the best possible
Mm-hmm.
way.
It's
Yeah,
awesome. Thank you so much.
cool.
Y'all heard her. If y'all don't have a LinkedIn page,
Yeah,
get with it. Just
exactly,
gotta get professional. I know it's
exactly.
something we do in our freshman year experience class at CCS. Like, everybody get on LinkedIn now. You need it.
Yeah.
But
I told my high school students get on LinkedIn. It's never too early, for sure. Yeah.
well, thank you so much, Cherese, for your time. It's been wonderful to see your face again
You
and learn
too.
about
You
your
too.
amazing career. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank
Everybody,
you.
thank you for tuning in if you're tuning in live. And for everybody watching the recording, thank you for checking out CCS Alumni Live. And we'll see you again next week.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great
Bye.
weekend. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye, Cherese.